I'm a medical scientist who was involved in a failed experiment of which you are all experiencing the consequences. I'm sorry, but you have to know. Part 3. Or so we thought, because we soon discovered that even when we thought we knew how much of the drug Kenji was receiving, Kenji was injecting himself secretly with significantly more. This, more than anything else, drove Dr. Ochimori to despair, because he knew it invalidated the results of the trial. At this point, Dr. Khan decided to forcibly confine Kenji and perform emergency surgery on him to remove the inhumanly growing teeth. I agreed, but the two Japanese scientists did not, and they instead confined Dr. Khan and myself to one of the unused observation rooms. We pleaded with them to let us out, more importantly, to help Kenji, but they ignored us. For hours, we sat together silently, listened to the crying, howling, growls, and crunching that emanated from somewhere in the facility, each of us imagining on his own what must have been going on. Once, through the reinforced glass window of the observation room door, I saw Kenji, if one can still refer to him as that, run past, and the impression left upon me was one of a deformed elephant, a Satan, with teeth that had curved and grown into, through, his head, his brain, his self, his humanity, and exploded outwards from the interior of his skull. And then, hours later, the doors unlocked. We stepped out. I am not ashamed to admit that in the wordless silence I reached for Dr. Khan's hand and he took it, and hand in hand we proceeded down the hall. My own instinct was to flee, but I knew that Dr. Khan's was the same as it had always been, to help his patient, and he led me away from the facility doors, towards the room in which Kenji had been tested on. We came first upon the body of one of the two Japanese scientists, dead, pierced, and torn apart. His hand still held, now grotesquely, a handgun. His eyes had been pushed into their sockets and a bloody document folder placed upon his chest. Dr. Khan picked it up, thumbed through it, and passed it to me. Inside was the identity's true identity. He was not a Japanese scientist but a member of the Naicho, the Japanese intelligence agency. I put the folder back on his chest, and we continued forward. The facility had been visibly damaged. Doors were dented. Some of the lights were off or flickering. We heard then a sound, as if a deep rumbling. Dr. Khan motioned for me to stop. We had rounded a corner and were at the beginning of a long corridor. At the other end, into a kind of gloom, rolled suddenly what I can describe only as an ossified half-human ball, except that I knew it could not be made of bone, because teeth are not bones, and this ball was constructed of a spherical latticework of long, thin, white teeth, somewhere in the midst of which was Kenji's body. It appeared to me only as a contained darkness. The teeth, I noted, seemed to originate no longer solely in his mouth, but from everywhere on his body, although given the complexity of the spiraling, winding, penetrating network of fangs which had pierced his body innumerable times, it was impossible to state with certainty where any one tooth began, or what the resulting creature even was. Surely Kenji the man must be dead, I thought, but this new thing was alive. "Kenji," Dr. Khan said, "I can help you." And the ball started rolling. Please subscribe for part 4.